Welcome to Finite Math Online, Math 177 with Kim Granger. I'm so glad that you took a few minutes to watch this introduction because I believe that seeing this introduction will help you work through the content much more smoothly. Here's what your course will look like. Now, when I switch screens here, you're going to see two screens side by side eventually. But the first thing I pulled up is the course calendar. And this calendar is available on Canvas. Hopefully when you did the course introductory assignments, you've already come across this, but I'll show you when we get to Canvas where I found this. You can see that in week 1, due on Friday, this is the content that we're covering. It's review 4, extra assignment 1, and then sections 1.1 and 1.2. So there's just 4 sections of content so that we get a nice, quick, easy start to the course. Often you'll see there's 6 or even more sections of content. What I want to encourage you to do is work towards these due dates as this is the final day, but that doesn't mean when you finish the content for week 1, that doesn't mean you have to wait to move on to the week 2. I would do everything possible to stay a week ahead. So even as we start out the course, if you feel like you've got a lot of extra energy towards working on the course, zoom right into the chapter 2, even after you've finished the 4 sections, if you feel like you've got the hang of it. So you can always work ahead, and notice that this is the calendar for 6-week course. There are some students viewing this video who are working in an 8-week course, so you'll see that after week 3, some of the content shifts a little bit because we've got fewer weeks on this calendar. But both calendars will work similar to this. But this is how I know what to do. Now, I could also use the assignment checklist. This is the module 1 assignment checklist. So you could use this together with that calendar to always know that you're on track with things. So they don't have different content, it's just presented differently. So when you look at the calendar, let me try and pull these up side by side so you can see it, the difference. When we look at the calendar, you see everything by the weekly dates, right? And then when you look at this checklist, it's okay if you want to use this and write in the due dates, you could do that. That'd be really beneficial to some students. But you could also use this as a checkoff or draw a line through as you finish. So if you've already completed the introductory assignments, you draw a line through it. Learning online at STLCC, that's not due yet. It's due week 2. But you could draw a line when that's done. Discussion board 2, that's going to be due on Monday the 10th and so on. But complete the practice quiz on My Lab Math, and then here we are with the Check Your Understanding My Lab Math assignment. So here, number 5 is where we start getting to the content. And this is where you see that R4, that's review 4, E1, that's extra 1. And the 1.1, notice there are 3 pieces. That 1.1 is broken into 3 small pieces. And then 1.2 is broken into 2 small pieces. But you could use this checklist together with this calendar if you find that it's beneficial to you to be able to check everything off as you go. But what is it that's due Friday? That's this number 5 down through number 18. 5 to 18 is the 4 sections of content, and then a mastery quiz and a review assignment that just helps you check whether you are ready for the chapter quiz that's not due until the following week. But feel free to use this module checklist together with the calendar, or if one or the other makes a lot more sense to you to use, then use that. But know that they're both giving the same information. It's just information presented in different ways because different students perceive how to know what to do next a little bit differently. So trying to be as give as many things as possible, as many different ways as possible. All right, so let's move to what's next. I want to show you how you actually do this content. So I'm going to close these windows. And what you see side by side here, so that I can show you multiple things at once. We see Canvas on one side. I'm going to switch it to the student view so you see it exactly as you would see it. Now, you might collapse all your windows. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with Canvas, or expand all of them depending on how it works best for you. I like to keep them collapsed so I can scroll right down easily to what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for module 1. That's where I'll find this content. So to complete the content, the math content that's due at the end of each week, it's due on Fridays. We can see it's broken in modules. So this module 1 is all due on our first Friday, and module 2 is all due on our second Friday. After that, it changes depending on which calendar you're using, if you're the 6-week or the 8-week. But if I open this module, you can get an introduction that again lists those sections, and then this gives you the guided notes. Now, if you open the guided note link here, this item that you see on the left is what that gives you. There are a few options with how to use this, but in general, when you look at that assignment that's due Friday, the notes and homework, the guided notes and homework, here's what you need to do. Part 1 is you need to complete this note packet. To complete the note packet, what you're doing is watching videos and working through content online, and that's what I'll show you in just a minute. And then part 2 will be to check your understanding with a few homework problems that are, I'm calling it check your understanding, but that's where you jump in and do a few problems. With regard to these note pages, if it works for you to print the pages, you can do that. You could download this and print it. Or if you have a device that allows you to write directly on a PDF or other document, you could use your device to write your notes on here. Or if you don't have a device to write on and you don't want to print, because I'll admit that this is a lot of pages. I feel like these pages, the content is excellent, but when you look at the page and look at how much wasted space there is for extra notes, I don't really love that, because not every student's going to need this much space. So it feels like a lot of paper, a lot of pages if you're printing it all. So you don't have to print it all. What you could do instead, and this is a great way to learn content, is you'd write the content down and then write your notes on your paper. So one way or the other, at the end of the module, you will need to submit these notes, whether it was you printed out the PDF, wrote on it, or pulled up a PDF on a device from which you were able to write on a PDF, or this option 2, if you copied all the notes directly onto line paper. And if you do copy it onto line paper, you don't need to have a new page for every page of the notes. So you might get to the end of this page of the notes and have only used a small segment of your line paper. So you can continue on one page. But would you please, when you start a new page, or I'm sorry, a new section, so when you go to 1.2, make sure you're starting a new page as you go to a new section. The section number should be written in the top right corner of your paper. If you're doing this on line paper, make sure you're following that. But that's the first step, is getting these notes and completing them. So let's look at how to complete them. To complete the notes, I'm going to go to My Lab and Mastering. And if you've already logged in to My Lab and Mastering, then when you click the My Lab and Mastering, it'll let you right in. You could choose to open My Lab and Mastering or go directly to Assignments. I'm going to choose this time to go directly to Assignments, because what I'm looking for is the video guided learning for 1.1. And notice that it's chunked into 1, 2, 3 sections. So the 1.1 gives us 3 sections broken down into smaller bites. But the video guided learning, when I open this assignment and then I say I'm going to start it, I can see that there's 3 videos, and the videos are what walks you right through this content. Now, as you do the chapter 1, and I'll say all of module 1 really. So you're doing this module 1 content. Much of it will seem like a review. So you might not need to watch the video all the way through. Maybe you can fill out the notes without the video. But as we get further along into the course, most finite math students find that more than half of the content is new content that you have not used before, new concepts that you've not seen before. So don't get too accustomed to being able to speed through it like you might be able to do in module 1, because we will hit content that's new. But it's a great way to get started, I think. While you are watching the videos, you can put on the closed captioning, you can change the speed, you can change it to full screen, etc. But what we'll do is we'll hit play here, and you see that this first video is just 4.5 minutes. As the video is playing, that's when you fill in the notes and guides you right through what to write down. After the video, there are a couple short questions that you answer. So if you've watched a video, the video shows you how to find x and y intercepts. You would type them in. So you type in the y-intercept, ask to check it, and then it'll give you the second part, and it'll ask you to give the x-intercept. And then you get to another video. And on this next video, again, after the video, sometimes it gives you this little page of notes that could be really beneficial to some students, or maybe you look at it and you say, oh, I already know that. So choose what you need to write down from these, but keep in mind all of your notes are things that you can use on the quiz. So take good notes to keep organized in your 3-ring binder, but make your notes your own. And whether you're writing on the pages or writing on your paper, do it in a way that's going to most benefit you. But then as we finish that piece, we go to the next button, go to the next page, and it gives us a practice at it, and so on. So this is how you work through the video guided learning. And there's 2 ways that you get credit for the video guided learning. One way is actually doing these short exercises and actually opening the videos. I hesitate to say watching the videos, because as you may have learned from other similar courses, is if you open the video, sure, it marks that you opened it and it may show that you watched it. But the real proof of whether you watch a video is if you have the notes. So let me say that if you can do these notes, if you can do this problem because it's a review for you without the video, then you certainly could skip the video. But I'd recommend instead just turn it onto a faster pace so you're certain that you didn't miss anything, right? But the points for completing the homework assignment, the video guided learning, come from working through each of these pages one after the other. And when you get to the end, you know you're at the end because you keep clicking and it doesn't change anything, right? And then you could hit save. This is going to say, are you sure you haven't done very much? So I still have a 0, but I could say that I'm done with this. So my current score on this assignment is 0 out of the 5 points. So you can see where each of the 5 points comes from. So that's the first step, the video guided learning. And we do that on paper, but through clicking through. So notice that there's going to be 2 parts to your grade. 1/2 of the grade for this assignment will come from getting these points. The other half of your grade for this assignment comes from completing the written note pages, and the written note pages will be due the end of the module. So that's how you complete the video guided learning that's due at the end of each week. After the video guided learning, we have the check your understanding, CYU, check your understanding assignment. And notice there's just 5 questions here, and they will coordinate directly with your notes. Let me show this a little bit bigger. And just like the video guided learning, there are 2 parts to your grade for this check your understanding. One part is doing the problem and getting the point here on My Lab Math. The other half of your grade comes from the written work. So as you do this problem, refer to the syllabus for the more specific guidelines of exactly how to show your work on the homework log. But this is question number 1. We have the section is 1.1, 1.1 part 1, and it's question number 1. There's just 5 questions, but you would write the question number and jot down your work. Now, here's what you want to keep in mind for this. It's not just making a record of what you've typed in, it's more making a record of the whole problem. So you'd want to jot this graph. And by the way, if you can't see, because it's too small, if you can't see where those intercepts are, you can make the graph bigger to get a better picture of it. But you're looking for the intercepts and you need to type that in. But one of the points for this assignment comes from typing in your answers and getting them correct. And you know it's correct because you check your answer. But the other point comes from at the end of the module, on the day that the quiz is due, you'll scan your written work. So make sure you're doing both of those parts so that you get the full points. So that is how you complete the content that's due at the end of each week. You work through the learning videos, the video guided learning, like you see here. And then and it even reminds you here on this checklist that you scan and submit the written work at the end of the unit. And then after that, you do the check your understanding problem. Don't forget that the written homework log will be due at the end of the module, right? Now, let me say, since this first unit is just slightly different, there are 2 sections that don't have a video guided learning. That's the review 4 and the extra 1. I think most students are able to do these 2 assignments without any instruction. But if you get to those assignments and you do need any assistance, there is built right into MyLab Math. There are some help tools. So let me go back to that. Oops, let me scroll my way back, and I've moved back on MyLab Math to the assignments, and I'm going to open this review 4 up so you can see what type of questions there are. It's 11 questions that are a review of linear equations and quadratic equations, and with the prerequisite to this course being pre-calculus algebra or college algebra, this is all review content. But if it's been a while since you've done that content, you might need some extra help. So you could, if you're looking at this and you're not sure how to do it, you could do the Help Me Solve It. You could watch a video. Those are all optional in this one. There's an animation that walks you through it, a calculator. If you are working someplace and have forgotten your calculator, you can pull that up. And this Ask My Instructor, if you click on the Ask My Instructor, will send me a link to your problem. And what I would need from you when you do that is don't just send it. You want to type in what the problem is. I am not sure why this keeps coming up negative. So something like that. What's nice about this is it's not a full email, so you don't have to include your name. You don't have to tell me what question it is. Just tell me what your issue is with the question and hit send. And then I'll get an email with a link to your question, and I can reply directly to you with an answer of what was going on with this. Now, if you just send the Ask My Instructor without typing anything in, there's very little I can do to direct you because I need more help understanding what your question is with the question. But this is to show you that this review 4 assignment has these problems that don't have a learning guide with it, but you've got this Help Me Solve It, a video, and then the extra help with an animation or calculator or Ask My Instructor. So if you do get to some of these review, same thing with the next assignment, the E1, which is the extra 1. If you get to those and do need extra help, you'll have this help down here. And that goes for all of our Check Your Understanding assignments. They always have these different helps with them. But notice, though, that they are slightly different because these are the only 2 assignments that don't have video guided learning with it. Now, one other thing that you'll see that's due on Friday is a mastery quiz and the chapter review homework. Now, the mastery quiz you can take as many times as you want, but the mastery quiz will just give you a few questions to verify that you understood the content. It's just 7 questions, and it's just a short quiz that verifies that you understand the content, some of the bigger problems as it draws everything together from this chapter 1, but it puts all of the content together. So it's an excellent review for the quiz, and you work through it. This is a good practice for what the actual quiz will look like, because notice that there are not help buttons for this, right? And when you're done, you can submit it. It'll yell at you and say, wait, you haven't completed it. Are you sure you want to submit it? So that's a nice warning, I think. But this quiz will show you immediately which problems you missed. You could review it, and then you could even retake it. But this reviews and shows you what the right answers were so that you get immediate feedback. So this mastery quiz, and then after the mastery quiz, it's the review homework are also due at the end of the week. You see those are the chapter 1 mastery quiz and the chapter 1 review homework. So that's how you'd work through the content in a typical week, what's due on Friday. Now, next Tuesday, so after you finish this content, we've got a quiz due. And this is where you see on Tuesday, the MyLab Math written work and the scanned notes and the quiz are all due. And as you do that, you could check off that you've done this. Scan and submit your guided notes, scan and submit your written homework log. And then the quiz 1 is due. And it reminds you to scan and submit your written work for the quiz. To submit the written work, you'll do that on Canvas. So I'll log back over there to Canvas to show you where that is. When you're on Canvas, back in the module 1, you'll see that you can scan and upload your written work for quiz 1 here. You can scan and upload your homework log for the check your understanding here, and also the guided notes. This is where the quiz 1 guided notes, scan and upload. It's all due by Tuesday, but if you finished everything on Friday, you might as well just power ahead and finish up module 1. It's just that there's some margin in there because everyone's weekly schedule is a little bit different. Really, this could have all been due on Friday, but I wanted to give a little bit of a margin in the case you have any struggles getting started. If you're familiar with Canvas, you know that you've got the bottom, you've just got this next button. So if you are working through the module by hitting next, then one thing you'll find is at the very end, rather than moving automatically right away into the next module, you get this little end cap. You've reached the end of a folder. If you've been using the next button, you might want to stop here and navigate to modules. But if you are ready to go to module 2, you can simply hit next, and now it takes you right into module 2. Just make sure you're aware that you've navigated into a new module, and that's what this little end cap to a module is for. Well, I hope that this quick overview of how to work through the content has been beneficial to you. And I do want to stress that online doesn't mean that you're on your own. If you do have questions with how to navigate through the course or questions about the content, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help you succeed, whether you're 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I want to make sure you've got all the support you need, learning the content and guiding you through it. So let me know how I can help you. But thanks for making time to watch this video that gives you an introduction about how to work through the course content.